Another new team who was at Wembley is Charlton Athletic, and I think you were very diplomatic in your description of the semi-final against Wickham, which was not aesthetically pleasing. Let's be honest, mate. Neither was the final against Orient. It was a grind, but three straight clean sheets. Nathan Jones is back. Charlton are back. Congratulations, Charlton fans. Welcome to the Championship Check-In podcast. If you're new here, what can we expect from Charlton next season?
Well, incredibly well drilled, hard working. Quite fitting that one of those centre halves got the goal to get them promoted. Such has been the prominence of that partnership. Lloyd Jones, who people will probably be aware of, and Gillespie, who gets the winning goal, gets the free kick. They've scored some massive
Sam,
goals.
if you're in the wall and that free kick goes in, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, the goalkeeper should probably save it as well. And I think even just the body language of the goal scorer when he turned away suggested to me that he was a little surprised that it found his way into the onion bag. So, yeah, it wasn't a great game. I mean, credit to Orient because they tried to out-football Charlton, and I think we've seen across the playoff programme this year that some teams have matched up to fight fire with fire and been really combative. Certainly that was the case with Wickham in the semi-final. They just tried to have a fight with Charlton and couldn't prevail, obviously. So Orient did try and play their football, but Charlton did a really good job on them. So what will we get? I think we'll get, incredible energy from the front. We'll get real organisation, tenacity. What they need to have is probably a little bit more threat going forward. They've obviously got Miles Leaburn, who unfortunately for Charlton was injured latter part of the season. He's probably someone that's ready-made to have a crack at the Championship. So
how old is he now, sir?
He'd be early 20s, maybe just turned 20. Someone for, I think, the neutrals to look out for. If he's fit and can remain fit, he could be more than ready for that step. I think they missed probably a bit of guile as well in the number 10 position. That's something that I spoke of often in the early part of the season watching Charlton. They got real dogged midfield players in Doherty and Coventry who had really good second halves of the season, but they do just miss that kind of link in between the midfield and attack. So I expect them to bolster the forward positions, basically, the forward ranks. Tyrese Campbell on one side's a really exciting young player. Thierry Small was a big part of the turnaround as well, playing on the right-hand side. I'm not sure what the future holds for all these players. I think there's going to be interest in some of the guys. Jones, I think, definitely at the back. I think I've read that Thierry Small's future is uncertain. I think there's going to be a lot of that. And, of course, Nathan Jones, there's been speculation about him and Cardiff in the last few days. Despite him obviously being from that neck of the woods and his allegiance, I think Charlton's a brilliant job. And I think it's a fantastic fit. And I think they go into the new season with real momentum and hope, and obviously aligned with a more steady ship in terms of the hierarchy. So, don't be expecting Nathan Jones to come with anything different to what he's been before. This will be a very well drilled unit. It will be low margin games. They'll probably do their damage at the Valley and maybe produce something akin to Portsmouth. And it'll probably be Portsmouth tried to play a little bit at the start of last season. I think
they'll be high up those lists of possession won in final third and the running stats and things of that nature, won't they?
I think so, yeah. And set pieces. I don't think that Nathan Jones will change. Maybe in time he will implement a slightly different style. But I think we've seen across so much of the divisions this year, and certainly we saw in 2 out of the 3 playoff finals, 2 teams prevailing who don't really want the ball. There's different ways to skin a cat, and I think Nathan Jones would be foolish if he attacked the Championship in any other way. That's their strength, and I'm sure something that he'll look to improve on and enhance in this off-season.
It's easy to be wise after the event with Jones, isn't it? Because I never really thought he was a League One manager. I know sometimes you see managers, I'm thinking of like Paul Cook, who did really well with Wigan in the Championship. Then he dropped down to Ipswich, had a bad time at Ipswich, and then all of a sudden he's back in the National League with with Chesterfield. Whereas Jones, I mean, he's kind of, I mean, he loves making his own narrative and he loves to talk, doesn't he? But in the interviews, he said I only would have dropped to League One for Charlton. I mean, I'm sure there's.
I think there's a few other examples. He's paraphrasing a little bit there because there's teams like Bolton.
Easy to say when you've just been promoted, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, there's teams like Bolton, for example. But he did start his coaching journey at Charlton. And a colleague of mine, Charlotte Richardson, he said the exact words to her in the aftermath of the victory, that he's not a League One manager. You know, he's not a League One manager.
I don't think he is, Sam.
I don't think he is at all. I just think it was perfectly aligned. And, you know, if we rewind to, I think it was November time, when they won 2 in 10, there was huge speculation about his future. I think it was close in reality,
really,
and he will have known that as well. The turnaround was immense, and I said at the time that they would be ridiculous to part company with him because it's something that needs a little bit of time. Because I'm sure the intensity of the sessions, the amount of time they spend at the training ground, goes up ridiculous levels when Nathan Jones is your manager. And I think it takes a little bit of an adaptation period. And we certainly saw that throughout the season. So, yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a Marmite character, I think, for neutrals and people watching on. But I don't think you can question what he brings. And I would be as equally surprised, probably. No, maybe I've gone a bit big there. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if they're in that bottom 3 come the end of the season, just because of him alone.
Yeah, I agree.
And throw in what the Valley can be. You know,
yeah,
I think
if
the Valley,
they can, God, it looked amazing for the semi-final second leg.
They're brilliantly supported, very vociferous. It can be a tough place to play, I think, when they've got a bit of rhythm, and he'll tap into that. He'll have to, as again, I think a good example how Pompey did in the second tier. So he could take a lot from the way that they adapted during the season to become so hard to beat at home.
Right, get your thoughts in on Charlton in the comments. So Sheffield United and Charlton are the 2 teams that are going to be back in the Championship. The last time I spoke to Sam, we didn't know would be in the Championship. Right, Sam, we'll have to scoot through this because we're talking managers here, because we think that there may be 8 new starters potentially on August the whatever it is, 5th or something, normally the 5th or something like that, isn't it, when we start out. I definitely need to hear from you about Ryan Mason, who is the new West Brom manager, Will Still, who is the new Southampton manager, and I don't know if it's going to be a long conversation about Paolo Pezzolano, because I don't know jack about him, but we've got a new one in at Watford.